Welcome back to another episode of Real Boring Flips. I'm Kevin, I'm your host, and it's been a while. Sorry about the big delay, but we're back trying to get regular videos out, and I'll talk about a little bit about that later. But for now, I just want to thank you for joining me, and we're going to talk about things that sold for me on eBay in July. And if you've been following along, things have been really going very well for me as a part-time reseller who has a full-time job. I have another side job, and I have a busy family. I've got 3 adult children who have busy lives. I have a granddaughter, and this has been a very busy time for us the last few months. So apologize for the slow trickle of videos, but hoping to make some changes that will bring those out a little quicker. As I mentioned, I'm a part-time reseller, but come December of this year, I will jettison my day job. And that should give me more time, not to become a full-time reseller. That was never the plan, but will give me time to do a little more reselling, a little more YouTube, and so I'll be able to share a little bit more what's going on. If you haven't seen this channel before, I work on the value for value model, so hopefully I'm giving you some value with these videos and the information that you get from them, and you watching these videos, liking, subscribing, commenting, sharing really gives me value, so thank you for that. We're going to talk about what sold in July. Had great sales, and my May, June, July really just kind of steamrolled. And so we'll talk about we'll jump over to the other side. We'll go through everything that sold, and I'll share a little bit about what it is, what I made, why I bought it in the first place, and just a little bit of information about those sales. The one thing that I do want to talk about before we get over there is a process that I've been going through. So most of this year I've really been out thrifting, focused mostly on thrift stores, Goodwill, some estate sales, but with my day job, my commute passes right by Goodwill, so it's very easy stop in, and I spent a lot of time in there so far this year. Let me run down some numbers with you. So just starting from the beginning of the year, in January, I bought a total of $1,185 in resale items. February, $1,607, so a jump. March, $2,297, another jump. April, $2,460, another jump. May, $2,692, another jump. June is where I started to kind of back down. So $1,381 in June. July, started making a concerted effort to slow my buying, $1,033. August really showed $596. And so far in September, it's September 12th today, $132. So really ramping, or kind of putting the brakes on thrifting. And there's a really good reason for that. And it'll be more evident maybe in my next video, where I talk about some of the things that I'm selling, because I'm focusing most of my effort on selling things that I already have in inventory. And there's a little bit of method to the madness, because I knew I was going to be retiring at the end of this year. I really was trying to really ramp up my inventory so that, not just buying haphazard, but trying to buy really focused items that sell well and will sell well. So nothing that you've got to get out the door, but just good items that are easy to list and sell well. My focus is not on things like clothes and shoes and stuff like that. So mine are more a lot of vintage electronics, toys, games, anything more vintage. I do sell some new stuff, but very rarely. And we can talk about that later too in some of the items that we show you. So as I ramp those down, I just wanted to share with you kind of where what my profit, or at least what my revenue looks like for just the last 3 months. So we'll do June, July, and August just as a comparison. And remember, my purchasing really dropped between those 3 months. So back in June, I mentioned $26.92 in new purchases. My gross revenue or gross transaction, if you go by the eBay report, which is after you've paid for fees and your shipping, what you paid to ship, is $28.85. Now, I've talked about this before on the channel. I do charge a little bit extra on shipping, mostly for this reason. The way eBay charges you fees, they charge you fees on what you receive as a shipping payment. So if you get $10, you're probably going to be paying $1.20 just in eBay fees. So I try to cover the fees that I'm getting charged just by getting the payment for shipping. So for June, that was $255 that I charged extra for what I shipped out. Now, it's not a true comparison, but that jumps up my total gross transaction to $31.40 for June. That's pretty good for me for part-time, not spending too much time at all, especially these last few months. And as you noticed, when I said I had $26.92 in purchases, my $31.40 covered all my new purchases. Now, I don't rely on my eBay profits for living expenses. I have a day job. I have another side job. This is meant to be something that does support my family in certain ways, but not my full living expense. When I retire, I'll have a pension. I've got some other income, some other investment income. So this will kind of be just another bucket of income for me in retirement. I don't know how people do this. I don't know how people quit their job and do this full time and replace what they were actually making. It's very difficult to find great stuff. And it kind of, to me, that kind of took the joy out of it when I was trying to go that route. I really enjoy this. And so I want to keep it enjoyable. So, and I mentioned that in a past video where we talked about keeping this fun. And I mentioned just have something you collect. You're not buying it to resell. You're just buying it to collect, and that kind of keeps the excitement in going out and thrifting. As opposed to I've got to get something today to resell to pay my mortgage. So that was June. So in July, this really was a big difference. So I had the 1033 in new purchases. My transaction or gross transactions for July was 4609 with another 210 extra shipping. So 4819 coming in, and I only had 1033 going out. So that really was a positive for my account. So over the last few years, basically what I've been doing is anytime I build up enough in my bank account, I shift that over to an investment account. So I built that investment account up to a little over 20,000. So that's great because when I do retire, and I do intend to make a certain amount from reselling, I'll have that amount to basically subsidize in months where I don't achieve my income goal. I'll be able to subsidize with that bank account. That's the plan, at least. And I'm thinking maybe $2,500 a month is what I'd like to contribute to the family budget from my eBay profits. So that was July. August, the sales in August weren't quite as good. Still really good, but I only had $596 in new purchases. My sales gross transactions for August were $33.37 plus an additional $164 for $35.01. So about $3,000 in new money coming in that month. So really excited about the direction we're headed, and just focusing on stuff I already have. It's kind of funny where you don't realize what you've got, and then you open a box and realize, oh, I got that like 3 years ago. Forgot I had it. It's great stuff. And we'll talk about that in the next video, but I had several items that I found in a box, sold for great money almost instantly. So excellent there. Another thing I've been doing, and you've probably seen a lot of this on YouTube recently after the eBay, their big eBay conference, and the CEO came out and talked about the myth of sales coming from ending listings and selling similar, and that was a myth. I didn't exactly watch his entire speech, but that's the gist of what I took from it. I've been doing that consistently, and I have to tell you, it's not a myth. If I can, my goal every day is to end any listing that's going to end that day and sell similar on those listings. And it gives me a great way to check my listing, because I found several listings that were older listings that had incorrect shipping, a bunch that had first class UPS or USPS shipping. I couldn't even sell them because there was no way to actually select that shipping. So I've been able to correct a bunch of those. I've sold a bunch of older items, which is great. And so to me, it's not a myth. I talked to a lot of resellers. They all agree it's not a myth. It works. So consistently checking your listings. And I have about 900 listings. So on a daily basis, I may have 20 or 30 listings that are going to expire. So it does take some time to do that. So I don't do it. I can't do it every day. I'm not a failure if I don't do it one day, but I do try to do at least some every day just to check my own listings. So I encourage you to do that. Just do a few a day. Just do 5 a day, whatever, and see how that affects your sales. I think it really does. Now, I'm also trying to list actual new listings. That also does affect your sales. All that being said, I know why you're here. You didn't come to listen to that stuff. You came to find out what I'm enjoying. And so I'm going to show you right now. We're enjoying, and you've seen something similar to this before, but this is a Kui coconut milk drink with my favorite nata de coco, that kind of gummy stuff that sort of tastes like coconut, but this is strawberry flavor. So you can see the nata de coco floating around in there. So we're going to check this out. I know this is going to be good. Has a great strawberry smell too. Really chunky. So that's great. Let's get over there and go through the things, and then we'll come right back afterwards and finish up this video. So hang on. Okay, first up is this Grundig Satellite 750 radio. Now this isn't the old school Grundig radio. This is the Eaton Grundig radio. So I paid way too much for this, but man, was I glad to get my full asking, and this went international. So there's a little bit of protection if you sell international and there's an issue. I've only had that happen once, and this one went through, no issues. Super excited to get $450 on my $250 investment. We bought these. They're sort of like Crocs, but they were knockoff Costco Crocs. Very often, or not very often, we do retail arbitrage. We bought these actually, I think, for my daughter, and she said she didn't want them, so I just kept them to try and sell. It took forever. I finally just let them go, and I actually paid more for these than I got, so kind of a bummer deal. These small coolers, when I first really got serious into reselling, I grabbled up a bunch of these little things. I've sold several. I don't buy them anymore, really. This one was okay. I probably paid a couple of dollars for it at a garage sale. It's old, you can tell, because that's in my red background. Way back when I started reselling, I used my son's baby blanket because I thought it set things off, very distinctive. But it doesn't play well with Google Lens, so I've shifted to a white background. So I do search through the power strips when I'm in Goodwill, looking for unique things. Now, Monster, some of those can be okay, but I look for the actual real unique stuff like this Furman. I was so happy to get this for just a few dollars and sold quickly at offer for $50 plus shipping. Here's a set of books that I got at the free donation rummage sale. And when I'm there, I do look through the books, looking for things just like this, sets of children's books. And these were in great condition. I probably could have got more. I just felt like letting them go. Took an offer at $18. But this was a nice set of 8 books. Okay, here's where my thumbnail came from. This set of Lego Pirates of the Caribbean minifigures, these came from a garage sale. Actually, my next door neighbor, they had a garage sale, had a bunch of Legos, and I just bought them all for 30 bucks. Brought them home and told my son what I had, and he said, let me dig through those. And turned out I had all of these figures in there, plus I had a lot of the Black Pearl parts, the sails, a bunch of the hull, and a bunch of other figures. And I've sold probably $600 in Legos from that $30 investment. I still have more to go. And I took an offer at $190 for this set, which included Davy Jones, which is really the most valuable piece. But I tried to, I didn't want to sell individual parts, but put all these figures together. Someone was going to enjoy that, and this person did. And what's so funny about this is not too long ago, earlier this summer, I went to my other neighbor on the other side to a garage sale they were having, and he had a box of Legos with the, I think it's called the Queen Anne Pirates of the Caribbean, but the Queen Anne, and another Davy Jones from the Black Pearl, plus some sales from the Black Pearl. So that box of Legos cost me $10. So I haven't started listing those, but so weird that I stumbled upon all these Black Pearl and other Pirates of the Caribbean Legos just in my own neighborhood here. This Igloo Coolmate converter. So I actually have one sitting here that I use just when I test things that have an auto 12 volt cable. But this one was new in the box, and I think I only paid $1, maybe $2 at a garage sale just up the road from us. And I've sold these before, not huge money makers, but I figured for $2, I knew I could get something, and I got 20 bucks on offer. Okay, here's a disappointing item, and I'll show you some screenshots of kind of the communication. But I sold this camera to an obvious camera reseller. Their eBay name kind of leads you to believe, okay, they deal in cameras. And I only sold it for 50 bucks, but it was a nice Casio camera with the case, with the battery charger, with the battery, with a memory card. And they messaged me and said, hey, the flash doesn't work. And to be honest, I couldn't remember if I actually tested the flash. I normally do, so I thought it probably did. And so I just said, go ahead and do a return. I'll pay to have it shipped back. Well, as you can imagine, sometimes when you do that, you get a no, I'll just take a partial refund. And I was willing to do a partial refund, but not that partial. So they really only wanted, I think they wanted 25 bucks back. And I said, nah, I can do 10 off, but otherwise just send it back. So eventually they did file a return request. I provided a label, and wouldn't you know, they never actually sent it back. It's so frustrating when people do that. Just be honest. You don't have to try to scam people every day. Just be honest. These shoes were part of a retail arbitrage that we did as we awaited the arrival of our granddaughter last December. Bought a bunch of stuff. We had so much time on our hands because she was in labor for 3 days, so we had lots of time, and got these shoes at a Marshall's, I believe, one of those stores, and I got my full price, $44.88 for these, which is great because we did not have too much into these. Here's some more things that came from the free garage sale, donation, rummage sale. This was a set of irons, club covers, Cleveland iron head covers. I think there was, looks like there was 7 or 8 of them. Nice condition. I took an offer at 20 bucks because guess what? I basically had nothing into them. It was just part of stuff that went into a bag that I made a donation for. Here's a camera that I got, a nice camera. I got it at a garage sale a couple of years ago. It came with a another lens that I sold separately for, I think I sold the lens for about 150 bucks a few years ago even. And this camera sold at my full, I actually dropped the price, but it sold at my asking price of $200. And it was a nice camera and had very little image count, very low image count. I paid 40 bucks for everything, and I got about $350 for everything. I love those kind of flips. Okay, here's a item I sold to a drop shipper, and I've just decided that when I get these messages about do not include invoice, this is a gift for my friend. It's not a benefit to me to not include my invoice. I do it for a couple of reasons. It's part of my final checkout to make sure I have the right item going to the right person, but it also provides my information to the person that bought it, regardless of how they bought it. And it also provides a kind of a backup piece of information in case the item ever gets damaged in shipment. And maybe the label gets damaged. I'd like to have something in the box that has my information on it. And so sorry, especially drop shippers who don't notify me ahead of time. They just add it as a buyer's note like this person did. It was a nice item. I got 80 bucks for it. I paid 20 for it. But yeah, I always include an invoice. Sorry. I mean, I can print one out that doesn't show the price, but it's always going to have my information. Here's the second of two of these bigger airplane balsa RC kits. This one wasn't as valuable as the other one I sold last month, but I only paid $10 for this one. I couldn't believe that I got this at Goodwill for 10 bucks. And I took an offer at $125 plus shipping, and my buyer was very appreciative of this. Sold a TI-84 calculator. I have a bunch of these. They just don't seem to get what they used to, but I sold this to a repeat buyer, so I think I've sold a couple of these to them. I got my asking at $44.88 or $45 if you don't mind the extra. I think I'm going to just start listing mine for this price because as soon as I drop the price to this amount, it sold immediately. So I think I can get that for sure. Here's a great Escort passport radar detector that I got very cheaply at Goodwill. It seemed to work, and then when someone asked me a question about it, and I got it back out, and it had an error message. So I just decided I would sell it for parts. It had the nice mount. It had the power cord. So I figured I'd just get whatever I could get, and I ended up taking an offer at $22.65 plus shipping. I only paid about $5 for it. Okay, this is the best item of the month. I couldn't believe when this came out. Now, I'm in the state of Washington, and growing up, the hydroplane races here on Lake Washington and then in eastern central Washington on the river, on the Columbia River, these were big deals. As a kid, the race on Lake Washington, that would be several 100,000 people on the shore watching the race. And I loved watching the hydroplane races. We always had, my friends and I, we would build little hydroplanes to drag behind our bikes and play in the water with. And this was just an awesome kit. Came out in a new cart at Goodwill. And I was joking with the person that brought it out because we kind of made eye contact as she was coming out. And she said, I knew you were going to take this. And it was an awesome kit, $25, brand new vintage hydroplane RC kit, and I took an offer at $400. And I think this sold early in July, and our Seafair race on Lake Washington is in August. So hopefully they got it in time to build it and race it as part of the racing. Here's another juicer part. I kind of have slowed down buying juicers just because I haven't had the opportunity, but I do have a fairly good stock of parts, and traditionally I sell the pushers and the pulp cups. Now, Hamilton Beach doesn't seem to sell as good as the Jack LaLanne version, but for buying the whole juicer for $2 and then stripping out various parts, they turned into good money. Early in my serious reselling days, at auction, at an online estate sale, I got what I thought was a huge box of sealed Viewmaster. It turned out it was just a large priority mail box. I paid hundreds and hundreds of dollars for that box, and I've sold hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of Viewmasters. I don't sell many nowadays. I just have a few listed, but I still have quite a few that I've never even listed yet. So at some point, I'll get the rest listed. This box had 3 copies of the Munsters Viewmaster, and if you're a Viewmaster collector, you know that the Munsters is probably the most valuable Viewmaster you can get. I had 2 copies that were sealed and one that was open, and I think the 2 sealed copies sold for $400 each, and I think I probably got $200 for the open copy. Incredible. This generator Gentrans switch was brand new in the box, came out and on Goodwill, and the guy who brought it out showed it to me right away, and I was a little bit hesitant at first. I knew it was valuable, but they wanted $80 for it, and I just really wasn't enthralled with paying $80 for it. But I'm glad I did, because it sold pretty quickly, and I took an offer at $235 plus shipping, and very easy to ship because it was basically, even though I overpacked it, it was in a nice box, ready to go. Here's another red background item. One of my early days purchases. We were at an in-person estate sale. They had a bunch of crazy stuff, and one of the things was just a box of brand new restoration hardware knobs. I think I've got maybe 1 or 2 left. For some reason, this person bought 4, which my listing had quantity 4, but when I got the box out, I actually had 6, so I'm not sure what happened. So I've got a couple left. Here's a nice golf club. I've mentioned before I have a love-hate relationship with golf clubs. I can't stop buying them, but I hate shipping them. Yeah, for the most part, I make my own shipping container or shipping packages for golf clubs. I use a large piece of scrap cardboard. I form it into basically a tri-fold box, and then I just cut it to length so that it fits the golf clubs. It seems to work. It's the only way I can get these into the absolute minimum size. And I don't like the fact that if I want to go buy a box that fits these, boxes are incredibly expensive. So in this case, I think I paid $13 for this club, and it sold pretty quickly at my asking of $99.88, and the buyer was happy with it. Okay, here's another problem sale. This was interesting. I'll show you some clips of this conversation, but this was a Lemax, just a little firework display. So you'd put it with your little cities, your little display village, and it worked. It was nice. Had just shot up a little red firework, and so I sold it as new in box because it was complete, new looking in the box, no sign of use. And I took an offer at $12. I just wanted it gone at this point. I paid about $5 or $6 for it, so I wasn't making much. And the buyer, immediately after getting it, they messaged me. I'll show you the message. That I was just the worst seller out there. And, I was kind of shocked because you could contact me before you give me negative feedback. That would be great. I'd offer a refund. I'd offer you to return it or just refund you. But it was very weird. So I didn't hear. Oh, there goes my bird clock, if you can hear that. I didn't really know what to do at that point. They gave me negative feedback. And so a little while later, they gave me, I guess they didn't even give me negative feedback. They just sent me a nasty message. And then I said, hey, really sorry, please send me a return request. Sorry this happened. Don't know what happened. And and then I got positive feedback. So I think what happened is this has on the back of it where you put the batteries in, there's also an on-off switch. And I don't think they noticed the on-off switch, but I think they noticed it eventually. So all things turned out great. It was just an odd situation. So I only buy certain video game controllers. This one, I paid quite a bit for it at Goodwill. This was the nicer Xbox, so it's the X or S controller, not just the Xbox One, but this is the X or S. And I paid $20 for it, but it was in such nice condition, and the sell-through rate on this model was pretty good, and it sold quickly. I took an offer of $40. I was happy with that. I'm almost out of books. I bought this huge amount of books at an estate sale. The dumbest thing I ever did because there were so many books. But I've made good money on them, and I'm getting down to the end. And I was glad to see these two sets head out, and my buyer was happy with them. I bought this Dave Matthews it was a CD set. I think there might have been a DVD in there, but a nice box set. And I figured if I didn't sell it, and I only paid I think about $6 for it. I figured if I didn't sell it, I knew someone who really is a big Dave Matthews fan, and I would make that a gift to them. But I got an offer at $25, and they were happy with it. This model was, when it came out at Goodwill, I really contemplated whether I should buy it or not. It looked complete. I actually asked the store, the person, the checker at the store at Goodwill, if I could return it if I found out it wasn't complete. And they said, sure, you can return it. And so I went home, and I found that it was complete, but they had, for some reason, the person that had it built just a couple of pieces. I think there were little bombs or something that came with this. And so I was fine with it because it was complete, and it was basically 99% unbuilt. And my buyer paid my full asking, and it was a pain in the butt to ship, but they were happy to get it. I got my full asking at $79.88. Okay, this is a lesson for you people that go to pick or pile type sales. I actually got this at the free rummage donation sale that I talk about a lot. They actually have, I think, 4 or 5 of those a year. And this just was in amongst other stuff in a plastic package. Had no idea what it was, but it looked important. And so I took it with me. It cost me very little because it went into a bag that I probably paid $10 or $20 for the bag. And I took an offer at $68, and it sold quick. I get a bunch of stuff like this, electronic testing equipment. And fortunately, because I do have a oscilloscope for sale, I was able to at least show that the function that it did work, which is helpful when you're selling stuff like this. It may not be calibrated, but at least it does work. And I took an offer at $90. I think I paid $11 for this thing, so excellent sale. Okay, this is an item that this also came from the free garage sale, and I tested it here. I didn't obviously take it out in a boat, but I did test the unit. Everything works, and it was detecting even just sitting here, and it sold international at my full asking of $169.88. Now, mind you, this came in the free donation garage sale. I probably paid $2 for it, and I think it had a $5 garage sale price on it when I picked it up. But this went international, and the international buyer requested a return. Now, when you sell international, eBay just handles it, so I don't know what the issue was, but I did reach out to the buyer to ask them, hey, I understand you filed a return request. Can you let me know what happened? Because I had tested it here before I shipped it. I showed a bunch of pictures of it working. No response. So I'm concerned that when you sell international, and I suppose it could happen the other direction too, an American buyer buying something from a foreign buyer, I'm concerned that it's just very easy to get your money and the item. And so I hope eBay takes a look at this, because there wasn't anything wrong with this. And so it just is frustrating that this is happening. This is the first time I've sold something international and had an issue with it. I bought a bunch of Hot Wheels type collectibles. This was a Shelby Mustang, and I think a car hauler. A bunch of these new and packaged cars. I'm just about out of these. Got a bunch of them. I think this one I might have paid $10 for it. I got my full asking of $29.88, and they're trickling out, but made good money on all of these. Here's another thing that came from the free garage sale. This was a Logitech Harmony hub, and I've sold the Harmony remotes and just happened to get this hub. I knew what it was. I knew that it had some value. I just took an offer of $15 just to get it moving. I had pennies into it. Here's some more juicer parts. This is a TriStar Fusion, so it's basically the new version of the Jack LaLanne juicer that you see, that everyone sees. This was the blade. I sold it for my asking of $9.88 plus shipping, and I paid $2 for the whole juicer. So the blades, I've sold a few of the blades. I sell the pushers. I sell the pulp cups. That's about it. I've sold the rubber feet on some of these too, amazingly. This next one is actually a Mueller juicer. Not as common. Sell-through rate isn't as great, but I still sell these similar. Sell the pulp cups, sell the blades, sell the pushers. It's like printing money almost. Here's a great camera. I just happened to find this one on the shelf in Goodwill. Sometimes I wonder, like, I see a lot of resellers, and I don't know, maybe it's not understood the value of some of these cameras. I took an offer at $333. I paid $15 for the camera, and I think for this one I actually went out and bought a Canon battery charger for it instead of just one of those knockoff battery chargers. I wanted the full complete set, and incredible sales on these things. I just got another. Now the one I sold was the ELF 340 HS. I just a couple of days ago got a 300 HS in my Goodwill, sitting on the shelf for $15. It works. It's going to be another similar price, maybe a little bit less, but just incredible, these PowerShot cameras. Even some of the older versions still are good money. Okay, here's a deck of tarot cards. These didn't end up being as great as I thought, but I only paid, I think, $4 for these, maybe $5, and I got $30 for them, so I'm happy. This rune-bound game, this was interesting. I think I got, when I went into the store, I think I have some live footage of this that I'll put out at some point, but I went down the toy aisle, and there was a couple of kids in the toy aisle sitting. One of them was kind of watching, and the other one was down on the ground with a bag, and it looked like they were probably stealing something. I don't think it was games. I think they were stealing CDs or something. But it made me wonder if they had taken the figure out of this box, because it was missing the figure. But this only cost me, I think I only paid $2 for it, because it didn't have a price on it, and games in that aisle without a price are $2. And I had it priced. I priced this thing for like $130, but I didn't get any takers, and eventually someone gave me a half price offer, and I just took it, and they were happy with it. This was an interesting DVD. It was found it in a St. Vincent de Paul thrift store, and I think I paid $1 for it, maybe $2, and it seemed like it would have good value. It was an interesting topic, religious movie, Jewish movie, and I got my full price of $14.88 plus shipping. Here's something that is, so things like this drive me insane, because I know I'm going to make the money on it. I know it shouldn't take too long, but for some reason I just have a hard time buying something. I think I paid $5 for it and got 25 for it. I don't know why that doesn't thrill me, but for some reason, I just wish I had. You know, I'm always wanting stuff like that Canon PowerShot. The smaller items, just I'd rather not waste my time. I bought this thinking if I didn't sell it, I'd be able to use it, or one of my kids could use it and have one at least available to them. Here's some toner that I've sold several of these recently, but this one was actually, I think I had two of these. Yeah, these were two sealed toners I had for a long, long time, and finally, one of those people that buys toner all the time sent me an offer, and I ended up getting $45 a piece for the two, so $90 total. I paid, I think I only paid maybe $10 for both of them. So weirdly, that I just had another set sell for a similar price. Here's something I got at a picker pile. Got a bunch of stuff like this, but this was an original dealership brochure for a 1991 Mustang. This stuff can be good money. You gotta find your buyer, but this stuff can be good money, and it's worth if you get the right ones. I mean, it's not going to take much space in your storage, so you just got to wait for the buyer. And I found my buyer, and I got $12.88 for this. I couldn't have a penny into this thing. This was a nice find. I kind of do a little search through the kitchen aisle at Goodwill because some people just donate brand new stuff, and this was a nice Breville kind of a milk frother, brand new in the package, and even had the price on it. I think the price on it was like $130. I took an offer at $110, and if I remember right, might have paid $25 for it, but I knew it was going to sell. Okay, here's the other camera that I sold. Now this one, so this was an A3400. It worked, but it had kind of a weird issue where you could hear the lens clicking if you zoomed in or just shut the camera off. I didn't want to deal with that, so I sold it for parts. But I listed it at $79.88, and I got my full price. And I think the person was happy. It worked. It just had a weird noise, so I don't know what that issue is. But maybe they fix cameras. But I was really happy to get $80 for it because I did pay $15 for it. I did not ship it with anything. I had just the camera, no battery charger. So I kept those for a future camera. This Oppo DVD player, it was kind of a weird situation. This one, I can't remember where I bought this one. It didn't have a remote, and I didn't pay much for it. I can't even remember. It was so long ago. I can't remember where I got it. Then I bought a second one that came with a remote, and it was in the box, but the item was damaged, and the seller, I don't know what the problem was. They clearly knew because it was taped together, and so I requested a return, and they never responded to my return request. So eBay refunded my money, and I got the item. So I sold that one recently. I think I sold that one for about $150, and I kept the box for this one and the remote. And so I recently sold this one for $280. So good money. Not as good as these used to be. I've sold some high-end Oppo stuff for thousands of dollars, but I was happy to get this one sold. I think I have one left, a different model, a nicer model, but they're nice players. It's a shame Oppo doesn't make these players anymore because they were pretty advanced. I was happy to find this scanner on the shelf at Goodwill. I think it was there for a few days. I might have even seen it. It's not obvious what it is, and fortunately it had the cables and the AC adapter. These are great scanners, highly desirable. I think I paid $10 for it, and I took an offer at $175. It sold quick, and the buyer was super happy with it. It's a great scanner. I was happy to get this sold. This sealed. So basically, it was a networking box for older Apple Macintosh computers. And I think I even have one of these in my box of Mac stuff. No, this one was sealed. I got it on the shelf at a Goodwill for $10. I've had it listed forever. And I finally just dropped my price. I think I had it for 200 and I dropped it down to 169 and sold quickly, and my buyer was happy about it. $10 into 169, that's a pretty good flip. Okay, here is some more retail arbitrage. My wife got these at, I think, a Marshall's. 2 sets of these bowls and a teapot, I think. I've sold both sets of bowls now. I still have the teapot, but I think these bowls cost $4 when she bought them, and I've sold both sets now. This one sold at full price of around $30. I think I sold the first set of bowls for about $25. So good flip, good job, honey. This dragon it drew my attention. It was just in the toy aisle. It was unique enough that I had to do a Google lens on it to see what it was, and felt like I would get some money for it, and I got my full asking price of $29.88, and it was pretty cheap, I think $6. Here's some more Hot Wheels, another set. This one I took an offer at $35. I think I had 12 into this one, so not huge times 10 sales, but still good meat and potato sales. Here's something else that came from the free garage sale. I've sold these before, and so I knew that the lid itself would have value. I have the lid and the pitcher, so I've got the pitcher I'm listed separately. I haven't sold it yet, but free garage sale, basically pennies into this, and the lid sold for my asking of $24.88 plus shipping. Here's a funny item. It turned out great, but it had the potential for going sideways. I paid way too much for this. I'm kind of disappointed I paid so much. I think I paid $25 for it. Turned out it just wasn't worth that much. I ended up taking an offer for $40 just to get rid of it. And then the buyer messaged me and said, hey, there's a problem with it. The screen, it's blank. And and I was like, not going to be blank. I mean, I took a picture of it. It's in my listing. You see the screen. And the guy didn't seem like he was trying to scam me, so I just said, hey, just do a return request and I'll take it back, so maybe I can figure it out. And then he never did the return request, and then later on he messaged me and said, hey, I figured it out. There's a little tiny switch in the battery compartment that says alkaline or rechargeable, and it was in the wrong position for his batteries, and so as soon as he adjusted that, then the screen came to life. So all was good. And my last item sold in July was this Mega Bloks Dragons. It was actually 2 sets of Mega Bloks Dragon stuff. One was the set that came in the tin, and then there was a second set that was part of this. I got all of this in a tote, a really nice plastic tote that I'm using right now for some other stuff. I paid $20 for that, for this stuff in the tote. And I'm using the tote. It's nice. Probably, if you bought it in the store, you probably pay $15 or $20 just for that. I got $80 for it at offer. Happy to sell it. My kids had this set, and I'm sure I did not get $80 for that set when I sold it. But these are great things to look out for. It was fun building it just to see if we had all the parts, and we did. We had some extras, and so I think my buyer was happy with it. So excellent sales in July. Okay, we're back. Enjoying a little more of my Kui strawberry coconut drink. Excellent sales. I love just the unique stuff that you run across as a reseller. And my goal as a reseller is to get the item into the hands of a new person who will enjoy it. So I love the feedback that I get. Not the negative feedback, but I enjoy the feedback I do get, especially when people comment about my packing. I try to pack everything professionally in a way that I would want to receive the item. And so I really encourage you, if you're just starting out and you're thinking, well, this is probably fine, or I've gotten stuff, just thrown into a padded envelope, I really encourage you to kind of go the extra mile on your shipping, especially as a new reseller. You don't want any defects in your account simply because you didn't put the item in a box, or you didn't pad it properly. I just really encourage you to just cover your bases on shipping, especially as a new reseller. It doesn't take that much more time, and if you're creative, you can manage the expense of having packing material or boxes or any of that stuff. I'm very creative in how I deal with that. I have lots of people that provide it for me. I just have to go pick it up. So ask your friends, ask your family to save their Amazon boxes or Amazon packing. That stuff's great. Don't listen to the resellers that tell you have to buy brand new boxes. You don't. If you have an eBay store, you do get a $25 credit every quarter, so you can use that to buy boxes. I tend to buy those very small boxes because they're very hard for me to come across as a reused box. So I do buy those with my eBay money. Just be scrappy, be creative. You can have fun being a reseller. So if you're frustrated with my videos not coming out very regularly right now, please check me out on Instagram at Real Boring Flips. I post my sales as they come in, and I put a little bit of info there. I cover a little more in these videos, but I like to share in different avenues things that I'm selling, and so I'm trying to grow my social media contacts in any ways I can. So check me out there, and check me out on the next video that comes out. That one shouldn't be as long as this one, because I'm actually already working on the next one. So come back, join me again next time, and have some cooey.